The Black Dahlia Mystery, Hollywood's darkest unsolved crime. The morning of January 15, 1947, Los Angeles woke up to a nightmare. A young mother walking with her child noticed what she thought was a mannequin lying in an empty lot near South Norton Avenue. But as she moved closer, she froze in horror. It wasn't a mannequin at all. It was the body of a woman, pale and lifeless, cut in a way no one had ever seen before. Police rushed to the scene, and within hours, news spread across the city. The newspapers would soon call her the Black Dahlia. The victim was quickly identified as Elizabeth Short, a 22-year-old woman from Massachusetts who had come to Los Angeles chasing the dream of becoming a Hollywood actress. With her dark hair, green eyes, and love for glamorous clothes, she was known among friends as the Dahlia, inspired by a movie called The Blue Dahlia. The brutal way her body was found turned her into front-page news almost overnight. Police officers at the crime scene were stunned. The way Elizabeth had been left showed a kind of coldness that terrified even hardened detectives. Reporters swarmed the area, taking photos, scribbling notes, and asking questions no one could answer. Why was she killed? Who could have done something like this? By that evening, her name and face were splashed across every Los Angeles newspaper. The public was shocked and fascinated. She wasn't a famous actress, but suddenly she became more well-known than any star in Hollywood. People wanted to know who she was, why she had been targeted, and who in the city could be capable of such a crime. Elizabeth's story began like so many others who came to Los Angeles in the 1940s. She wanted to escape a difficult childhood and dreamed of making it on the big screen. She moved from place to place, staying with friends, sometimes dating men who promised her connections to Hollywood. She was described as kind, gentle, and always dressed beautifully, but also struggling to find her way in the city. The police began to interview everyone who had seen Elizabeth in the days before her death. Witnesses last spotted her leaving the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles on January 9th, 6 days before her body was found. After that, she seemed to vanish into thin air. Where had she gone? Who had she been with? The city buzzed with rumors. Detectives started looking into Elizabeth's personal life. They discovered she often went out with men who worked in Hollywood, producers, actors, and soldiers. Some were serious relationships, others were casual. But one thing was clear. Elizabeth was searching for stability and chasing a dream that always seemed just out of reach. Police began to suspect that one of these men may have been the key to her final days. The newspapers didn't just report on the case, they sensationalized it. Headlines screamed about the mystery woman, and reporters painted her as both glamorous and dangerous, a woman living on the edge of Hollywood's glitter and shadows. The public became obsessed, and the pressure on police to solve the case grew more intense by the day. As the investigation deepened, detectives received dozens of letters and phone calls from people claiming to know who killed Elizabeth. Some confessed outright, while others gave strange details. But one letter stood out. It was sent to a local newspaper, signed by the Black Dahlia Avenger. Inside were Elizabeth's personal belongings, including her birth certificate and photographs. Whoever sent it wasn't just teasing. They were taunting the police. That shocking letter changed everything. It showed that the killer was watching, reading the news, and playing games with both the public and investigators. Detectives suddenly realized they weren't chasing just a murderer, but someone who wanted attention and control. The case that began with a shocking discovery was about to spiral into one of the most famous unsolved crimes in American history. And as more letters arrived, each darker than the last, the city of Los Angeles braced itself for what would come next. The arrival of the killer's letter sent a wave of fear through Los Angeles. Detectives held the envelope carefully, knowing that every fingerprint, every smudge of ink, could be the clue they needed. Inside were Elizabeth's personal items, her birth certificate, photographs, even her business cards. Whoever sent the package wanted the police to know they had been close to her. Very close. The newspapers published the letter almost immediately, and panic spread through the city. People whispered about the so-called Black Dahlia Avenger. Some said it was a crazed doctor. Others thought it was a jealous lover. Neighbors began locking their doors earlier, glancing over their shoulders when they walked at night. The idea that the killer was still out there, laughing at the police, terrified everyone. Detectives worked day and night, chasing every lead. They interviewed Hollywood directors, nightclub owners, and even waitresses who had served Elizabeth. They searched hotels, apartments, and bars where she was known to spend time. Each clue led to another dead end. The killer seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Dozens of men were brought in for questioning. Some were boyfriends from Elizabeth's past, while others were complete strangers who wanted their 15 minutes of fame. The police grew frustrated as the case stretched into weeks with no arrests. The city's newspapers mocked the investigators, calling it a failure. Pressure grew heavier by the day. But in the middle of all this chaos, small details about Elizabeth's life emerged that painted a picture of her final days. Friends told detectives that she had been struggling, moving from one place to another, sometimes without money, often borrowing clothes from others. She wanted to look like a star, even if she wasn't one yet. This vulnerable side of her made people wonder if she had trusted the wrong person. Then another letter arrived. This one was even more chilling. The writer promised to turn themselves in, but only under certain conditions. The police set up a sting operation, waiting at the arranged spot, but no one showed. Instead, they received another mocking note. You failed. It was clear the killer was enjoying the game. The investigation spread beyond Los Angeles. Detectives searched medical schools, military bases, and psychiatric hospitals. The way Elizabeth's body had been left suggested medical knowledge, leading them to suspect a surgeon or someone who had studied anatomy. But every suspect was eventually cleared, leaving police more frustrated than before. Meanwhile, Elizabeth's story continued to capture national attention. Magazines and newspapers across America printed her photos. She became a tragic symbol, the young woman who came to Hollywood with big dreams but met a horrifying end. Strangers visited the empty lot where she had been found, leaving flowers as if it were a grave. The police files grew thicker by the day, filled with names, reports, and interviews. Yet none of it brought them closer to solving the mystery. Detectives argued among themselves about who the killer could be. Some swore it was a jealous man in her life. Others were convinced it was a random predator. The lack of answers made the case even more haunting. Then came the most shocking twist yet. A new letter arrived, different from the others. This one contained a message that chilled investigators. I will strike again. The police couldn't tell if it was a bluff or a true threat. The thought of another victim, another young woman left like Elizabeth, sent shockwaves through Los Angeles. The city waited in fear, not knowing if the killer would keep his promise. The murder of Elizabeth Short, forever remembered as the Black Dahlia, remains one of the darkest mysteries in American history. Despite hundreds of suspects and countless interviews, the truth about who killed her was never uncovered. For decades, police files sat heavy with names, rumors, and dead ends. Every time detectives thought they were closing in on the killer, the evidence slipped through their fingers. Over the years, theories spread like wildfire. Some pointed to Hollywood insiders, directors, actors, and producers who might have crossed paths with Elizabeth. Others suspected a doctor with medical training because of the strange way her body had been left. Even members of organized crime were rumored to be involved. But none of these theories were ever proven, leaving only questions where answers should have been. The case haunted not just Los Angeles, but the entire country. Elizabeth's story became a symbol of broken dreams in Hollywood. A young woman who came to the city with hope in her heart, but fell victim to its darker side. Her tragic end was splashed across newspapers and whispered about in coffee shops, movie theaters, and street corners. Everyone had their own opinion, but no one had the truth. As time passed, the mystery only deepened. New detectives reopened the case in later decades, studying evidence with modern technology. DNA tests were run, witnesses were re-interviewed, and new suspects were named. Yet even with all the advances of science, no single person was ever charged. The Black Dahlia remained as untouchable in death as she had been mysterious in life. Today, the empty lot where Elizabeth's body was found has long been covered by homes and streets. But the memory of that day in 1947 has never faded. People still visit Los Angeles searching for clues, hoping to stand where the story began. Writers, filmmakers, and crime enthusiasts continue to chase the mystery, adding their voices to the endless search for the truth. And so, the Black Dahlia's story remains open, a haunting reminder that not every crime finds justice, and not every question finds an answer. Elizabeth Short's life was cut short, but her name lives on, frozen in time, wrapped in mystery. The world may never know who took her life, but her story continues to echo through history, whispering of Hollywood dreams, dark secrets, and a case that refuses to be forgotten.